Over the years, I have given you many optical examples of the inverted pyramid of death. In logos, in times of mass murder related to the Horus matrix, in plain sight, in the streets, and secret hand signs given by politicians, in which they announce their preference for a great reset on the slaves through mass killings like war and other. So now I'll explain you how our masters use the inverted pyramid in a psychological scheme to create mass hysteria among the slaves in order to effectuate and set in motion of the actual inverted pyramid of death. So listen carefully, because humanity has not much more time left. If Adolf would have told the German people that he wanted to destroy Germany, then the German people wouldn't have participated in the destruction of Germany. So he applied the inverted pyramid psychology by advocating the opposite of what his real aims were, by inverting the message by saying, "Let's make Germany great again," while globally showing it to each other through the inverted triangle of death, secret hand sign, what their real plans really are. This is the inverted pyramid psychological warfare. So the masters can mobilize millions of soldiers who work on the destruction of civilization. So Pharaoh can rebuild the real pyramid of total control over humanity. Through the psychology of the inverted pyramid, they invert their intentions and pose as a friend in order for the victims to lower their defenses so they can stab you in the back. The taqiyya also always uses this technique, as both taqiyya and Pharaoh's inverted pyramid of death are from the Middle East, where the refined deceptional warfare has been practiced for thousands of years, which has devastating effects on the minds of Europeans, who have been weakened by the valors of Christianity, like "thou shalt not lie," "thou shalt not kill," etc. Thus, through that lethal weapon of religion, consequently making the dumb slaves believe that their masters cannot lie, thus massacring the dumb slaves by the millions by having the lie lead them into battle. To European ideas like honor and bravery on the battlefield, the psychology of the inverted pyramid uses exactly those very values, magnifies them, infiltrates and destroys them from the inside out. Because in reality, the masters themselves use only lies and deception, and want the dumb slaves to believe in honor and bravery. Like Adolf showing his good intentions first, to raise himself on a pedestal into the realm of magic religion, just as Donnie recreated himself as the divine savior of America and the entire world, while in reality, through the lies of the inverted pyramid psychology, he has psychologically unarmed white Americans, gunned down in the streets by Donnie's personal ICE stormtroopers and uniformed assassins, with names like the alleged Raimundo Gutierrez and alleged Jesus Ochoa, who allegedly pumped 12 bullets into Alex Pretty, which by the very names sounds like the cartel assassinating white Americans. So here you can see it. This guy is Jesus Ochoa, Alex Pretty, the victim, and the other ICE agent assassin, Raimundo Gutierrez. So it looks like, here, it says here, shot by the cartel. You know? It's all inversed. This is the inversed pyramid, the inversed speech. It's all upside down. So as I've been telling you for 15 years, this here, the inversed pyramid or triangle, is what he's doing here. And it means at least two things. It means the inverse triangle of death, as the poor people in the Auschwitz concentration camp, like this, they had it on their breasts, meaning death. But it also means the psychological warfare of the inversed speech. And even religious people, they say the inverse speech, that is what the devil is using. So it's all inverse, because a normal pyramid is like going up. And this here is inversed. They invert it, it's going down here, and they all do it. Adolf was doing it, and so it means they're telling lies. So they're communicating with each other through these gestures they're doing. And the shooting is an example of the inversed pyramid psychological warfare, as it shows the exact opposite and inversed reality of Donnie's reason for ICE to roam the streets and eliminate the dangerous cartels and make the streets safe again. Whereas the opposite is true, with Donnie's masked gang making the streets unsafer, with hooded icemen, with cartel names like Raimundo Gutierrez and Jesus Ochoa execute white Americans. This is Donnie's inversed reality of the very deliberate technique of the inversed pyramid S.T.U.P.O. And I think these South Americans here, the assassins, are not even the real names of the assassins, because pumping 12 bullets into a defenseless white American requires a lot of hatred and must be considered a hate crime. And it is not the Latin Americans who hate Americans that much to pump 12 bullets into a white American. No, it's the entire Muslim world who see America as the great Satan, and who definitely hate America, and especially the white Americans, very much. As I've explained in my video Goldstein Made Philistine, I have no doubt that the masked Iceman who murdered the Americans in Minnesota with 12 bullets were in fact Muslims and no Latin Americans. Now look at the ice boy here. You don't know what's underneath. There is no proof at all that it is Ochoa and Gutierrez. No way. And look, it's the same as this one here, the Pasdaran, who are mostly Arabs as well, you know, ruling over the Iranian people since the 7th century. So, and these are killing people, and these are also killing people. They look the same, so they are the same. You know, it's a false flag. So here's the video on the same channel. Here's the title. I had to say Philistine here because of the censorship. So all of this is the psychology of the inversed pyramid. You know, just saying the opposite about what's going on. So they say, you know, somebody just showed the image of these two South Americans, of the alleged Iceman killer in Minnesota, and everybody is spreading it, and because everybody is saying it and repeating it, the dumb slaves, everybody believes it. But no, it doesn't work like this. It's definitely a false flag attack. So they put the flag of the Latin Americans on it, which is false, because it's definitely not. There was no Gutierrez and no Ochoa. It's all inversed speech. It's all being inverted by Donnie. Look at it, it's all the same. And there's absolutely no proof. You need to know who put the names out in the internet anyway. You know, who did it? Nobody knows. The people on the streets, they don't know. The Americans, they don't know of any Gutierrez or Ochoa. No proofs. So who put it out? Well, the authorities. What authorities? You think the normal authorities know it, who is underneath the mask here? No. Only Donnie and his pals. You know, only they know it. And the Iceman, you know, the killers themselves, only they know it. Okay, well, you think they're going to tell you the truth? Oh, come on, wake up, you know, use your brains. Also, can we see the pink swastika presumably repeating itself? With the ICE commandant, Greg Bovino, here in the middle, parading in front of his brown-shirt stormtroopers, as if it were an SS Hugo Boss fashion show, trying to impress his men in a clean, ironed, perfumed, after-shaved masculinity that smells like this, which for censorship reasons I cannot pronounce, and I'll let you pronounce it yourselves, because it's the agenda and we cannot talk against the agenda. So it all smells like this, you know, look at their hair, look at all, it's too clean, you know, it's too ironed, perfumed, aftershaved, just like these here, you know, it's all repeating itself, history is repeating itself. I mean, open your eyes, look at it. Hugo Boss was Adolf's Nazi uniform maker for the pink swastika. And history is repeating itself, as always. So here it says Hugo Boss, fashion. So and here, about this guy here, same uniforms and the same atmosphere. You know, it smells the same pink swastika. It says here the ICE commandant, Greg Bovino. And he also has an alias, which is this here, which I'm not going to pronounce because of the censorship. So the ICE commandant has the same Hugo Boss Gestapo long coat, the same SA-Sturmabteilung brown shirt with the same diagonal leather strap, probably quickly detachable so they can whip each other in the night when no one is looking, just as in the old days, with the pinkless killer head of the Nazi stormtroopers by the name of Ernst Röhm, in very much the same clothing outfit as today, with this guy here to the right, whose alias name I don't want to pronounce. So it's the same, you know. Only here it says SA, and on the other side it says US stormtroopers. Here you got the SA stormtroopers and here the US stormtroopers. And look at it, the same leather strap here, the same brownish sort of, or this green brownish uniform. This was brown, the brown shirts they were called. And we call them stormtroopers because SA, it means Sturmabteilung. It means storm, and Abteilung, it means detachment. So, and officially he was a pinkless killer. He made no secret of it either. You know, Ernst Röhm. And he got these scars in his face, you know, for fencing. That looks really masculine. You know, they call them the Burschenschaften. It's a sort of a Free More Sinners lodges mostly for students. It was very popular, like in the 20s and the 30s. You know, like mixing it all, you know, like university, pinkless killers, nice uniforms, fencing, nobility, the whole thing mixing. So this is why he got this here. He probably made it himself in the mirror, you know. These guys love mirrors. It's all about mirrors. You can see this guy too. You know, same leather strip, the same, even this here, the metal thing here is here. Same uniforms, you know, it's the same conspiracy, you know, it's the same conspiracy. And they told everyone, well, it's the Jaywalker conspiracy, while they were in fact, and still are, conspiring against the people. And look at these uniforms, you know, it's too clean, too much attention on clothes for this super male look in clean ironed uniforms, like watching the mating season for pinkless killers to impress the other males for whom a clean ironed uniform is the most sexy thing there is, integrating the sexual hierarchy of, shall I dominate you or are you gonna dominate me? The show must go on, hey Donny? Like a huge uniformed pink list killer fashion show, smelling good, looking good, seducing each other in this horror show of pure evil. I told you in many of my videos how in the Nazi era many key positions were occupied by pink list killers, and I gave you the names in all transparency. And I gave you the names of those of today's pink list killers leading the 21st century neo-Nazi parties. History is repeating itself, with pink list killer brown shirts roaming today's streets once more and again, gunning down innocent civilians under a nice smell of perfectly ironed uniforms, with seducing fashion hair creams in utter contrast with their violent talk and appeal for violence on national TV. They want to smell good. To me, though, it doesn't smell good at all. It smells fishy, and it smells the perfumed boys' conspiracy all over again. The agenda of our masters is still the same, mixing all peoples up with foreign-sounding names like Raimundo Gutierrez and Jesus Ochoa, gunning down white Americans in Minnesota 2026. Like Donny nominating Scott Bessent for Treasury Minister, and who's a pink list killer, a billionaire, worked together with George Soros and got appointed by Donny on January 28, 2025, while barely a week before, Donny lied to you all by signing the Executive Order 14168 on January 20th, 2025, establishing the biblical man-woman only identity only within the US Constitution, and directly followed up a week later by appointing a pink list killer into his cabinet. So here you see Donny writing one executive order after the other, and here it says Scott Bessent, there's a French name actually, and he is the finance minister. He's the guy behind the import taxes and all that. And this is Executive Order 14168, saying there's only man and woman, while in fact here Donny, on his executive order, he actually wrote down Adam and Steve. So and you can see Adam and Eve they're afraid of something. They're hiding. I mean, look at their faces. They're hiding behind a tree. You know? Why are they hiding? Well, all the Adam and Eves in America and in the world, they are in danger because they know that the great deceiver is here, and he is lying. It's only about lies. Well, this is, in fact, the inverted pyramid psychology, saying one thing and doing the opposite. And there is, in fact, no better example for the inverted speech and the inverted pyramid of the deception than Executive Order 14168, as I've just shown you before. Look, here is Executive Order 14168, and it says here, restoring biological truth. Well, the biological truth, there's only one biological truth, and that says Adam and Eve, and not Adam and Steve. You know, so it says here, you know. And look at the date here. Here, January 20th, 2025. So remember that well. And I'll show you afterwards what he did like a week later. Well, I'm not going to read everything, you know. you can look it up yourself here. The best is not to dive too deep in all this, What I just read to you, restore the biological truth. I mean, that's enough. It says it all. How can they write so many pages about just a simple thing like Adam and Eve? I don't get it. And he brought it like, like he was a saint, on January 20th, 2025, saying God, 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 every sentence, And maybe you notice, ever since the thing in the JJ base with the Hamas, he always takes the word of God, when he's in the Middle East and when these sort of things. Otherwise, he hasn't been using the name of God ever since, Maybe you noticed, he uses the name of God, for a business proposal, like doing business, I want something, I want you to vote for me, or I want you to help me like in the Middle East and endorse me and my ideas and making peace everywhere, which he doesn't. So here it says, so Executive Order 14168, it is about restoring the biological truth. So you saw that? And look what he really did. So here it says, Scott Besson. And, barely a week later, Donny appointed him. So here, I read it for you. He's the first openly person to lead the U.S. Treasury Department. So he's the finance minister. The first openly pink list killer U.S. Senate confirmed cabinet member in a Republican administration, and the second openly U.S. Well, you saw that? And when did it happen? January 28th. And the executive order was about restoring the biological truth. Happened on January 20th. A week later, he's just deceiving you. He's the great deceiver, Donny is, A week later, he's doing this. He just lured you into it with his, saintly smile, on his inauguration. And all the U.S. Bible bangers saying, oh, he's our man. He's the divine savior of America, Oh, and all this. Look at this here. Personal life. And maybe there's a lot of more interesting things, but I'm not going to read it all, Here, I'll read this here in blue. Besson, he is a member of the Huguenot Church. I didn't know Huguenots were doing these sort of things, A religious association whose expansion his ancestors supported, that's why the French name, in 1680. Well, that was during the 30-year War from 1618 to 1648. He married, I don't even want to pronounce all this, He married this here. You see, it's a man. So apparently they can get married in America. I didn't know that. And the guy is a former New York City prosecutor. They have 2 children born through surrogacy. And Besson reportedly has a close friendship with King Charles III. Oh, look at that. This is the elite. Donny is the elite, and he's just appointing the elite, he was also friends with Donald Trump's brother, Robert. That's Robert. Also a businessman, investor, and whose ex-wife, Blaine Trump, is the godmother of Besson's daughter. It's one family. We're being ruled by one family. It's all about nepotism. So the guy is basically family of Donny, just like the other one, the jaywalker one, who's married to one of Donny's daughters. And who is, of course, not just a normal jaywalker, but he's of the jaywalker nobility, We really have to differentiate between the nobility and the normal people. Very important. So this is the system of the per A, where the word pharaoh is coming from. Per, it means the house, and A, it means big. It's the big royal house of Pharaoh who became the nobility. You know, it's one family. So the per A, it means the big global family of pharaohs. Oh, we can see it happening. Mr. Pinkless killer, Mr. Besson, he's family. It's the per A. And they're all doing the inverse speech of the inverse pyramid, you know, the triangle of death. Ultimately, it leads to the triangle of death. That means your death, and of Adam and Eve, who are not for the moment because they're still hiding in the forest, as we could just see. So here, read this here in black about Scott Besson. After holding a series of financial positions, he was hired by Soros Fund Management in 1991. Oh, George Soros. Donnie is always, you know, like swearing at Soros. Eventually becoming the head of its London office, of the Soros London office. While serving in the role in September 1992, he was a leading member of the SFM, S is probably Soros Group, which profited by 1 billion on Black Wednesday, the British pound sterling crisis. In 2013, he made SFM another 1.2 billion by getting against the Japanese yen. After leaving the Soros Fund in 2015, Besson established Key Square Group, a hedge fund. So, how is this possible when Donnie is always swearing on Soros and, you know, why is he doing this? And at the same time, he's hiring as his finance minister, Scott Besson, as his finance minister. Why is Donnie doing this? I mean, this is a contradiction. I mean, this is a lie, you know. So why is he doing this? Well, because Donnie, I mean, they are surveying us and looking in the internet. I mean, how can they survey us and know what the people are thinking? Well, they just look into the internet and they see the people with very good theories and conspiracy theories against George Soros, especially from the right-wing movements and the Christian fundamentalists in America. So then what does Donnie do? You know, he does the inverted pyramid. He's just pretending he's one of you and says, oh yeah, me too, I'm against George Soros. So then at the same time, immediately the people, they lower their defenses. And then Donnie can stab you in the back, like by hiring a Soros, a man who worked for Soros and probably still is a good friend of Soros. This is also a perfect example of the inversed pyramid. You know, they say one thing and they do the other. So they just look into the internet, you know, like Donnie, and they, of course, they got the cyber agents working for them, and they look into the internet and they say, okay, the people, they got this problem. Okay, then I'll pretend, you know, to help the people, and eventually they don't do anything. They're just gaining time all the time through all this, and the people are losing time. And we're all nearing the end of times and our destiny. You know, they're just trying to win time. So no wonder Adam and Eve are hiding in the forest. You know, and this is another proof, another example how Donnie is the great deceiver. He's deceiving us all the time, every time. And look, it says Besson was a partner at Soros Fund Management. And it says Soros Fund Management, that's the SFM, is a privately held American investment management firm founded in 1970 as a hedge fund by George Soros. It is currently structured as a family office. So they are probably also related, you know, Besson, Trump, and Soros. It's all one big family, you know. And here it says Besson was a partner. That means he was not just working for Soros Fund. No, he was a partner. He was Soros Fund himself, Besson. He was part of it. We're being ruled by one big family, the American comic said, and you're just not one of them. or something like that. So here he is, George Carlin, here again. And here you see them playing golf all together, one big club. Here's Donny, here's Clinton, here's Giuliani. I don't know who that is. So this is what he said. Here's Donny again, here's Clinton again. So this is what he said here as well. And I'm going to try and say it in the original accent. You know, let's honor the guy. Let's homie Hross do it in the original accent. So I'm going to show you also how do you do the American accent. You just take your fingers and squeeze your nose, you know, like this, you know. You get automatically the American accent. So here we go. So here's George Carlin, and he said it's one big club and then you ain't in it. Here again, it's a big club and you ain't in it. George Carlin. So here we see Giuliani, here's Donny, here's Bill Clinton. Well, honestly, I think it should need an executive order against that accent because it's penetrating my head real hard. So here it says Vice Vance, the US Vice President, and he has a gender bender friend. I don't know what it is, a man or a woman, so I call it an it, by the name of Sophia Nelson. Here you see the inverted pyramid. That's what it's all about. So it says the executive order 14168 is a joke. So US Vice President Vance even has a long-time gender bender friend by its new name, Sophia Nelson, who was even at Vance's wedding. So let it be clear that the pink list killer agenda is still on, with this Hugo Boss fashion show gunning down Americans in the streets of America. And this is the inverted pyramid psychology, in which Donny and Vance are true masters, making you believe your own downfall and even making you work hard for it, hammering the nails of your own coffin, driving in the nails of your children's coffins yourselves. So here it says the inverted pyramid of death, just like in the Auschwitz concentration camp. This is for political prisoners in red. This is what homie Hross would have had. And homie Hross did, in fact, forced labor in Swaziland. He was forced to do that on the land. And in the Witzwil prison. It's again the name Witz in it, like in the concentration camp, which I can't pronounce for reasons of censorship. And this is what Donny is doing all the time here. And it's also like, why do they do it? It's like saying to all those in the club, don't listen to what I'm saying, because I do the opposite. I'm meaning the opposite, the inverted pyramid, the inverse triangle of death. And here are the different, sort of classes of people going in there. For there were religious people, they had, I don't know, green or something, or no, purple. So this is what they do, they say one thing and they do the other, just like Executive Order 14168, which is a joke. So they say, oh yeah, and he's saying God, God, God all the time at his inauguration day, January 20th, 2025, and saying there's only man, there's only women, and then he's doing this sign. So that means all who are in the conspiracy, they see the sign and they say, well, it's all inversed. Donny is inverting what he's saying. That's why they give this sign. It's the triangle of death, and it's leading towards it. Part of the master's pink list killer agenda is by repetition, making us used to it, like showing it in each Netflix series. Donny appointing a pink list killer as finance minister, or this year in the Flatlands on February 23rd, 2026, a pink list killer prime minister taking office, ruling over an entire country, together with his, what the media calls, the first gentleman. an expression I never heard before. So here you see that, Netflix with all these colors here, rainbow stuff. Here you see the king of the flatlands. Here you see the red carpet standing for the red house of Pharaoh. You see here is no more the normal stairs, and here of the palace in stone. So I just took a part of the picture. I don't want to have it all in it. And here's the red carpet. And here is the new prime minister. Oh, look how he's smiling. And I suppose this is the first gentleman. You know, just like in America, they talk about the first lady. Well, they got the first gentleman. For me, their social engineering technique of a customization is fully counterproductive. That's why I said it here in the colors of Netflix. It says here, counterproductive. You know, it means it's not productive, it's countering the productivity of their agenda. And the more they shove it down our throats, the more it consolidates my total resistance against the whole shebang. Interestingly, the word shebang consists of the word she and bang, which seems to be quite appropriate here, I'd say, and bring back a bit of balance into the matter. Bang the she, eh? So for you who are not English speakers, in English slang, a shebang, the definition, it means a matter or an operation or set of circumstances. And it consists of the words she and bang. Bang the she, for the balance in the whole pinkliscular matter, I'd say. So very soon we'll see the video footage of US pinklister finance minister shaking hands with that first gentleman, together with Uncle Donny blessing it all in the background, and do another one of his bogus executive orders on it, while the Iranians have their own executive order 14168, and just hang them alphabetically. First Adam and then Steve. So here in this picture it says Donny English. It means it's a new type of English. It's called the Donny English, with past participles like hung. And here it says this happened in America on several occasions. This one is a different one than this one here. You see American flag everywhere, so these are real American patriots, and they call him a spy and a traitor. So if you thought Donny was so intelligent, then listen to this here.
I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. I saw 837 hangings on Thursday. If they would have been dead, every one of them would have been hung. This is like from 1,000 years ago. This is an ancient culture. Very smart people, by the way, but it's an ancient culture. 837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday.
Earlier today, Donald Trump shared a post on Truth Social calling for Democratic members of Congress to be hanged. He also posted a message that said, seditious behavior, punishable by death.
Now, Donny, in English, you don't say hung. You might say, though, that you had hung your US flag POTUS undies. In fact, the anagram for POTUS is S.T.U.P.O. So I'll call you S.T.U.P.O from now on, until you learn some basic kindergarten English. And that hung is for things, but for people, it's hanged. Got it, S.T.U.P.O? Or do you prefer Donny S.T.U.P.O? Donny first name, S.T.U.P.O last name, the surname S.T.U.P.O. So for those here who are not Americans, well, you probably saw it in the movies, they show it all over. POTUS, the word POTUS, POTUS is an abbreviation for President of the United States. And an anagram, like here, it means you put the letters in a different order, and then you put the S like here, you get S, and then the T here, and the U goes here, the P goes here, and the O goes here, and you get S.T.U.P.O. So here it says, the anagram for POTUS is S.T.U.P.O. So I call him Donny S.T.U.P.O. from now on. I mean, look at him. Can't even speak proper English with his hung. He even repeats it very loud in the airplane. Hung. Dear Donny S.T.U.P.O. Hung is like when your pedophile pal, Mr. Bedstein, told you that he had hung the 12-year-old child's underwear on the chair near the rape bed. So here it says, Mr. Bedstein. So from now on, I call him like this, because of the censorship and the AI control and all that. I don't want to use his name anymore, but I think this is a far better name for the bloke. Eh? Here he is, Mr. Bedstein. But imagine in a near future, your ICE stormtroopers in one of your ICE concentration camps hanging some American civilians by the neck. In proper English, you say they were hanged and not hung, mate. So, Donny S.T.U.P.O, the past participle for hanging a person is hanged, whereas hanging up your big undies on the wash line, it's hung, mate. So, it says here in the AI, the French AI in English, so the difference between hanged and hung depends on whether you're referring to a death by execution or simply suspending an object. Hanged, past tense, past participle, used specifically when referring to a person being suspended by the neck until dead. So that's hanged. So the Iranians, they were hanged. Hey, Donny? An example, the prisoner was hanged at dawn, and hung is the past tense, past participle used for all other meanings, including suspending objects like clothes, pictures, curtains, or suspending a person without killing them. Example, she hung the stockings by the chimney with care. And furthermore, the summary table, an execution here is hanged. The traitor was hanged. Object hung. They hung the decorations, and in a phrasal verb, hung out. We hung out together. So you were hanging out. You had hung out together with Mr. Bedstein. So maybe you can remember it like this. And if a person is suspended in a non-lethal way by bungee jumping or in a harness, hung is generally used, except when the person dies, of course. And so maybe some of the surveillance here, or the AI, or the government surveillance, well, you can tell your master maybe the CIA are watching me, or the FBI. You can tell this to your master, maybe he'd like it, so next time he won't make this terrible mistake. I mean, a president making a mistake like this, I mean, it's incredible, really. So, hey, Donny S.T.U.P.O. So here it says hung or hanged, which is the question Donny is asking himself constantly. And here you see the type of road signs you see in America. So the Mexicans are quite happy to know when in the near future, when you, Donny S.T.U.P.O, sign your notorious executive order to hang all Mexicans, they'll have nothing to fear from you, as they would just be hung and not hanged. Like a wetback hung on a wash line after having crossed the Rio Grande. Maybe that anecdote will help you remember, Donny, that Iranian protesters had been hanged and that a Mexican wetback had been hung on a Texan washing line. So here you see the Mexican head on a cactus. Here the wash line, here the wetback hanging. You see it's all blue, the water, the wetback. Here it says hung or hanged. So maybe anyone can show these pictures to Donny S.T.U.P.O. So he'll remember by an anecdote, just like in kindergarten class. They do that as well. It's quite funny though, if you realize that in Australia, they've got kangaroo road signs. In Sweden, they've got elk road signs. But in America, they've got Mexican road signs. Oh, and while talking about Mexicans, this guy here from Venezuela, about no one talks about anymore, Mr. Maduro also does the inverted pyramid hand sign. And he has this red Kabbalah bracelet. So he definitely belongs to Pharaoh's global club. And we can only speculate what is going on between the two inverted triangle of death club members, Trump and Maduro. You say, well, this is known. Trump is always doing this, the inverted pyramid of death or triangle of death, going downwards even here. Maduro is doing exactly the same. I mean, all these politicians, they all do the same. They all belong to the same club, and it has a meaning. As I told you before, it means about anything I'm telling you, the opposite is true. And this is the message they give to each other and their children and their offspring globally. So they don't, at least they don't believe all the lies they're telling the dumb slaves, you know. So it means I'm telling you the inverse speech of what's really going on. So that means this guy is probably not even in prison, you know. He just retired, you know, he prefers dancing. Well, actually, they're both dancers. He's a dancer, he's a dancer. And I wonder, well, he has got an American flag, so to say. I wonder what he's having here on his chest. They always give out signs, you know. Yeah, once more. Here it says President Maduro, so the former president, or still the president of Venezuela, doing the inverted pyramid of death here. And here he's got a Kabbalah bracelet around his wrist in orange, sort of red. And it's a sort of a religion, like Madonna, the singer, she's part of it. And I don't know what it really means. I don't want to go too deep in it. Anyway, it's secret anyway, so you won't really find something about it. But it's quite funny that they all have it, you know. Why? Just like this Tucker Carlson guy, which I showed you in a video before when he was talking to Putin. Nobody noticed it, but it's so obvious. I mean, on the naked skin here, you know, it's even wrapped it down here, you know, shove it down his clothes here, so everybody can see it. I mean, what is this? Anyway, Kabbalah, Ka, it's the soul for the still alive of Pharaoh. The soul, and Ba is the everlasting soul, which you take when you die. And Ka is the living soul, like the Japanese Ki. It's the life energy, more like Kaba. And if you put Allah behind it, you get Kabbalah. So it's all Middle Eastern stuff anyway. The Kaaba of Allah, and then they got this in Mecca. They got this stone there. It's called the Kaaba. You know, you go over. It's just on. It's all together there. And where the Kaaba is, Allah is also. Then you get Kabbalah. So it's not from the jaywalkers. It's more from their nobility. And the jaywalker nobility, they're definitely together with the Arab nobility. You know? And this is also from the Middle East. It's the inverse pyramid. We're being ruled by pharaohs. Why don't you finally wake up all together and do something about it? So here it says Venezuela's new president. And look at the hands here and here. The coup d'etat was US made, and Donnie's America seemed to be satisfied with the US replacement of Maduro, because we hear nothing about it anymore, which is very suspicious. Even more, that Venezuela's actual president's nickname is the Tsarina, indicating strong ties to Putin. It is very obvious that S.T.U.P.O made a deal with Mad Vlad. I'll give you Venezuela and your Tsarina set in place if you give me Iran. Tsarina Delcy Rodriguez was already involved in the Delcy Gate and doing the inverted pyramid and triangle of death all the time. Yeah, look at it here. Here's a name, Delcy Rodriguez. You probably hear it for the first time because you never heard of this before. They don't talk about it anymore, which is highly suspicious. And her nickname is the Tsarina, which makes it even more suspicious, you know. Okay, you can read some things about it. I didn't read anything. I just, you know, they hide everything anyway. But this is interesting. She was the head of the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service, the CIA of Venezuela. This is why now they want to cooperate with the CIA. It says somewhere in it. And yeah, this is interesting as well. Here, look. Her partner, they call her partner a domestic. He's the domestic of the Tsarina. His name is Yusuf Abu Nassif Smiley. Would be interesting to find out who that is, but you can do it yourself, you know. Standing with John Kerry, oh, no good. And so she was the vice president. And they all knew if Maduro, if he falls, then she will become the president, and that's what happened, you know. S.T.U.P.O just made a deal with Putin, you know. And we don't hear anything about it anymore. So here, look. On January 16, Rodriguez met with the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. She was the CIA in Venezuela and probably still is. So, you know, they want to act against drug traffickers. Well, they are the drug traffickers. There's so many proofs about the CIA doing drugs, you know, the Iron Gate and the Colonel of Panama. And here, look, she was already involved in corruption, the Delcy Gate. I'll let you read it yourself. And Rodriguez is a follower of the Indian guru Satya Sai Baba. Oh, that looks sweet, you know. They all do this sort of things, looking sweet and innocent, you know, like playing golf and Putin, like riding a horse. It's all PR, public relations stuff, you know. And here is another picture of the Tsarina here with the hands doing the inverted pyramid triangle of death. And now I will explain you something about how they inversed the entire European civilization and the entire European culture of the white tribes. They inversed everything. And this is what they mean with it, you know, partly. They also inverse things, you know, it means death. So they killed the real European culture. I'm going to explain that to you. And because the Europeans, they were living like Indians, you know, they didn't even have horses, you know, no stone houses, living in huts with a spear, you know. They inversed the European culture and also genocided the white tribes as they genocide everything. You know, it's the inversed triangle of death. So I'll explain you now. It's coming up, how they inversed the European culture of the white man. I have problems making short videos, as you must have noticed. But 6 years ago, I made this short resume explaining how the white man was living in huts, as you can see here, in huts and tents, like Indians or African tribes. They couldn't read nor write, walked around in bearskins with a spear, trying to survive under harsh conditions, until these pharaohs came, who were the first in Europe to build in stone with their castles and Roman fortresses, and kept the white race and the white man 1,000 years as slaves in a feudal system.